If you liked Blade Runner from 1982 or simply enjoy science fiction, then you will definitely love the sequel, Blade Runner 2049. The aesthetics of this film are on par with its predecessor, and the plot and concept are equally outstanding. So, we are transported to California in the not-so-distant year 2049. Replicants are artificially created humans by the Tyrell Corporation, exploited in off-world colonies. After numerous bloody rebellions, replicant production was prohibited, and Tyrell Corporation went bankrupt. Genetic engineering advancements in agriculture by industrial magnate Neander Wallace helped alleviate famine, and Wallace revived the production of a new generation of replicants. However, many of the previous generation Nexus 8 replicants with an unlimited lifespan were not destroyed. They are being hunted down. The replicant hunter is known as Blade Runner. Sapper Morton is a simple farmer who grows protein on his farm when an unwelcome guest appears. The visitor does not introduce himself but asks many questions. His goal is to find out if Morton is a replicant. Sapper Morton doesn't hold back for long. He admits he is not human. He is a replicant. The guest has come to capture or kill him. Sapper Morton refuses to surrender and dies in the battle. He was one of the last Nexus 8 models, serving as a military medic and living on Calantha, before deserting with other replicants, some of whom are still at large. The main protagonist of the film is a police officer known as KD6, 3.7, K for short. He is a new generation replicant, and he is a Blade Runner. K examines the farm and finds a buried box. What's inside it is yet to be revealed to the Los Angeles police. K returns to the police station after completing his assignment. Upon his return, he undergoes a mandatory psychotrauma test. At home, he is greeted by his girlfriend. This sweet and welcoming girl is a hologram named Joy. After a tough day at work, K feels unsettled and his emotions are in disarray. But in the company of his home's hospitable hostess, he starts to feel better. K heads back to work. The contents of the box buried on Sapper Morton's farm have already been analyzed. It turns out that the box had been underground for 30 years and contains the remains of a female replicant who died during childbirth. This proves that replicants can have offspring, which was not previously known. K is assigned a new task, to find and eliminate the replicant born from a woman, as the police believe the child could cause chaos and war. K is not fond of this new assignment. Previously, he only dealt with soulless robots, but a replicant born naturally should have a soul, and therefore could be considered equal to humans. K arrives at Wallace Corporation, where he meets Love, a replicant of the Nexus 9 model. Usually, replicants do not have names, only serial numbers. But Love is not an ordinary replicant. She is Neander Wallace's personal assistant. Love shows the police officer the remaining data about the female replicant and tries to gather information about K's investigation, but fails. The corporation knows that one of the last people to see the female replicant was Rick Deckard, a police officer who is also a Blade Runner. K focuses his efforts on finding Rick. Next, we are introduced to Neander Wallace. Wallace creates new models of replicants. He is obsessed with the idea of creating a bio-robot capable of reproducing. The corporation's capabilities in producing robots are limited, and to conquer the universe and gain unlimited power, billions of beings are needed. Wallace is a ruthless man consumed by his idea. He knows about the existence of the child born from a replicant and wants to acquire it, believing that it will aid in his research. Wallace demands that Love find the replicant child. Love is ready to do anything to please her master. To obtain information, she goes to the police headquarters, retrieves the remains of the female replicant, and kills a random witness. K continues his investigation. Back at the farm, K notices numbers carved into a dead tree on Sapper Morton's property. This startles him. The sequence of numbers already exists in his memory. These are childhood memories, but K is a replicant, and his childhood memories are merely implanted programming from the manufacturing process. The further investigation leads K to Morilcole Orphanage. The area outside Los Angeles is a lifeless desert cluttered with heaps of garbage. K heads there. Suddenly he is attacked by unknown creatures. Love helps K get rid of the attackers. She needs him to continue the search for the replicant child. Recovering from the attack, K finally reaches the orphanage. Strangely enough, the orphanage in the middle of the desert, with no visible sources of food or water, has many inhabitants. The children are needed for labor, and they engage in recycling the garbage. Kay meets the owner of the shelter, who assumes Kay came to buy a child. Kay despises the child trader and convinces him to share the necessary information. However, the information is lost. Someone tore out the pages from the children's registry book. A strange feeling overwhelms Kay. It seems that the place he is in is familiar to him. He walks through the gloomy halls of an old factory. It feels like he has been here before. Kay approaches an old furnace, the same one stored in his artificial memory, the one where his beloved toy was hidden in his fabricated childhood. Kay is shaken. He finds his childhood toy. Now he assumes that his memories are real, and he is not an ordinary replicant made in a factory, but born from a woman. To dispel his doubts, Kay visits the Wallace Corporation's department that creates memories for replicants. There, he meets a girl named Anna Stelline, who creates memories for replicants. Anna suffers from immune deficiency and is forced to stay in isolation. She is the best specialist in her field. Anna tests Kay's memory. Artificial memories always differ from real ones, and Anna confirms that Kay's memory is genuine. Now, he comes to the conclusion that he is the very child they are looking for. Kay starts to be suspected of disobedience. The only loyal and loving friend Kay has is Joy. A girl appears at Kay's house. He has seen her in the city before, but he doesn't know who she is. She is a random acquaintance to him. Unbeknownst to him, the girl secretly plants a tracking device in his clothing. Kay continues his investigation. He tries to find out the origin of the toy horse, where it was manufactured. The toy has radioactive traces, and there is only one territory where it could have come from. Kay and Joy arrive at a strange place. There is no radiation there, but there are many bees. In front of Kay stands a large building constructed in a traditional architectural style. Kay passes through several rooms, including a bar, a casino, and a concert hall. In one of the rooms, he is greeted by a dog. This means there are people in this house. There, he finds Rick Deckard, a retired Blade Runner. Deckard is not very hospitable, but Kay does not intend to back down. He needs answers to his questions. He wants to know about his past. After a not-so-friendly reception, the house owner eventually agrees to talk. Kay learns that his mother's name was Rachel and that his father, Deckard, never saw him. Meanwhile, the corporation lost the ability to track Kay. Previously, they did it through his Joy, who is also a product of the corporation. But now, after Kay destroyed the transmitter, they don't have that option. Love comes to the police station, demanding to reveal Kay's whereabouts. Failing to get anything from the police chief, Love kills her. Using the police equipment, Love finds out where Kay is. The corporation sends a capture team. They are determined to apprehend Kay no matter what. The corporation's replicants break into the building. Deckard tries to resist, but the odds are against him. Kay comes to his father's aid. He kills several unwanted guests, but then Love appears, an emotionless and perfect killing machine. Love rejoices in victory and, highlighting her merciless nature, destroys Joy. The corporation didn't need Kay after all. In reality, they were hunting for his father, believing that he would help them find the key to replicant reproduction. Injured Kay is still inside the building when unknown people appear. They know Kay's location because of the device the girl planted on him. The strangers help Kay, and he starts to recover. The people who saved Kay are, in fact, replicants. Their leader is Freysa Sadegpour. She was part of the resistance and fought on Calantha alongside Farmer Sapper. Freysa knew Kay's mother, Rachel, and was a friend of Sapper. The replicants fight for liberation from the slavery imposed by humans. They are convinced that they are no worse than humans and deserve freedom. Freysa persuades Kay to join their struggle. Suddenly, Kay learns that he is not Rachel's son as he thought. In reality, Rachel has a daughter who is alive and carefully hidden from the government and Wallace Corporation. The replicants want Kay to kill Rick Deckard because the retired Blade Runner is the last clue that could lead the corporation to Rachel's daughter. Meanwhile, Deckard is in captivity with Wallace. Holding a skull, the sinister Wallace demands to find Rachel's child. He plays on the emotions of the aging Blade Runner, insisting that Deckard's meeting with Rachel was not accidental. A copy of Rachel appears, but Deckard notices the forgery. Wallace orders to kill the copy. Wallace is sure that the old policeman knows where the child is hiding and is ready to extract the information from him at any cost. While the corporation is transporting Deckard elsewhere, Kay takes action. He attacks the corporation's vehicle. The flying car carrying Deckard and Love makes an emergency landing. Kay is already nearby. In the shootout, both Love and Kay are wounded, but the fight between them continues. Love is an experienced fighter, and Kay has a hard time. Handcuffed, Deckard can only watch the fight. Gradually, water fills the vehicle. In the fight, Love initially overpowers Kay and celebrates her victory, but it turns out to be premature. Kay continues the struggle, and ruthless Love meets her end. Risking his life, Kay saves Deckard against the wishes of the replicants to kill him. Faced with a difficult choice between the great goal of liberating replicants, Wallace's idea of absolute power, and his duty, Kay believes that human emotions are the most important. He wants Deckard to see his daughter, and she to find her father. Together, Kay and Rick Deckard arrive at the Wallace Corporation's memory department, and Deckard meets his daughter.